Ho, ho, ho! And happy holidays! And a Merry Christmas! It's me, Santa Stew, your favorite festive holiday reviewer. Time to unwrap some presents, drink some eggnog, and play games with your festive family. This Christmas, we're all gonna get together to... Jumpin' Jehoshaphat! Who are you?
I am the ghost of deadlines long overpast.
Oh, Spirit, there must be some sort of mistake. If you just look at the calendar there, you'll see it's almost...
Oh. So it is. I knew I should have filmed earlier this month, or even back in November.
Silence! You failed to meet every deadline you set for yourself. As punishment, we are here to strip you of what you prize most.
My board games? My cat? Spirit, what do you want from me? No. Hi. It's your favorite board game reviewer. No, the other one. You're thinking of someone else. Other than that, while it being the holidays, sort of, you've likely scheduled time with the outside world, be it family, friends, or work acquaintances. Who knows? Maybe you got your group together, you finished 4 hours of a whole session of Dune, and the team would really like to squeeze in one more game, but everyone's brains are collectively fried and cooked from the Arakeen sun or from the abundance of spice. Not on me, though. You know I drink that water of life like it's juice, baby! Maybe you're with your family this season, and they've embraced that you're the weird one who's just in the corner twitching to play a game. They want to humor you, really, they do, but they're kind of adverse to anything that takes more than a sentence to explain. And really, I get it. I do, really. We've all been there. I'm no stranger to this moment either. As much as I memorize my one breath pitch, no one seems to want to play Power Grid with me either. But see, you're already here, so please just stay with me. It's just a few hours, but it's really simple to learn. It's really fun. It's really interesting. I have 3 different versions, and I'm begging you, come on, please. They're just gathering more dust than a cake in a Dickensian novel. The thing is, I don't like the terms filler or gateway game. You know, yes, Grandpa may have agreed to give a game a shot, but that doesn't mean we have to go to the lab to find the perfect gateway to open the hobby up to him and get him hooked on hyper-consumerism. On the other hand, I really don't like the term filler. You know, it's kind of patronizing when many of these games, light as they can be the star of the show. They absolutely can take up the entire night and not just be wedged in between bigger, more significant games. Because sometimes you just need a game that takes very little time, doesn't test people's patience, and has rules light as a feather. So for this holiday season, I'm gifting you the greatest gift of them all. Stew Teacher's Top 10 Featherweight Games. These are games that'll slip right into any point in the evening, whether they're a nice little wedge in between hot drinks, or maybe a perfect block to stop everyone from having to put up with your uncle's hot takes on touchy political subjects. Games where, if the box were spilled over, the game is already halfway set up, and with rules so light, even the most ornery Scrooge can't complain. So, I'm going to start this off with some honorable mentions that fall just short of making this lineup. First off, let's start off with Fanyan, or Counter Spy by Nguyen Games. These are friends of the channel out of Vietnam, so please, the biggest grain of salt possible. But this is just a 2-player game with just the smallest deck of cards, and the result is maybe one of the best Clue-style games ever. There's a murdered card, an unrevealed killer card, and each player is holding the innocents. And if you're not ready to make an accusation, you have to show someone your hand. But doing so could be the key your opponent needs to make the arrest. Absolutely brilliant, lightning fast, and just an overall joy. But to be a real Featherweight game, it needs to be more about snappy decisions with big cheers and jeers. And this game is not only a quiet stare down, but it's also such a brain burner, such a headache of thought process. I can feel a very particular part of my brain begin to boil as I ponder over the choices. Now, don't get me wrong, I love that. You will hear about this game again. I love this feeling. However, for a Featherweight, it's gonna just miss the mark of what makes our top 10 list. Tasso Banana, a game that I've mentioned previously on this channel, kind of fits all the necessities of a Featherweight game. It's pretty simple. Gather banana, stack banana, shed banana. You can see the appeal. However, I've played this one bunches. And I gotta say, I've really cooled on it. It's fun, don't get me wrong. It's just fine. You won't see me running out to play it. But why is it here? Because while I may be cool on it, the children in my life go, well, bananas for it. And with these big, chunky potassium pieces, these seem to be quite alluring. So if you have a lot of kids that are part of your decision-making process, maybe consider this one. Lastly, there's Love Letter. Now, Love Letter is a hard one to talk about because while many of these other games may be close to hitting the list, Love Letter might have actually fallen off. I can already hear some folks sharpening their knives and pitchforks, as this is the original godfather of micro games, and it deserves more respect than an honorable mention. But hear me out. Yes, the game is simple, and yes, it is fun. But if it were 10 years ago, maybe it would be at the very top of the list. But it's not there because it's aged poorly. It's here because it was never allowed to age at all. The original American version was altered into a new bag with more characters and abilities and higher production value. And honestly, it turned me away. Now, yes, technically, you can play the old version on today's copy. The instructions tell you what cards to cut out of the deck, so you can go back to the old classic way. But in doing so, it's like a self-admission that their 2.0 is more of a 0 steps forward and 2 steps back. I don't like having to sift cards out and explain why some cards don't belong, or why, when they guess a number in the game, they can't guess a number 6 now. It's a mess. It's still really fun. I definitely recommend trying it, but honestly, it's just kind of fallen off in the face of today's Tiny Giants. With those out of the way, we're ready to move on to the games that really sizzle, and no game sizzles out there quite like Sausage Sizzle. Sausage Sizzle is a game of rolling dice and assigning the lowest value you roll to one of 6 adorable animals in your collection. Each round, you're gonna roll 8 dice. And you're gonna be assigning the lowest roll to one of your 6 creatures. You can re-roll as much as you like, but you've got to keep at least one of the dice you've rolled so far. Previously scored animals aren't going to score you any points for the rest of the game, and you're only going to score your lowest roll, so you want to get these really high numbers. However, we also have the sausage. Now, sausages are worth just 1 point. If you have a sausage in your roll, your lowest roll is a 1. But if you roll all sausages, they're then worth a whopping 7 points. Between this, the ever-slimming number of scoreable animals, and the massive potential with the several rerolls you're allotted each turn, Sausage Sizzle is 2 simple things: a compact and immediate dose of gambling with push your luck, and being absurdly cute. There's not much game here, but that's kind of the appeal. Right before someone starts to feel overwhelmed by the rule explanation, you're already halfway through the first round. Dice gambling is also just the best kind of gambling, because even though this game is competitive, each turn almost becomes cooperative as everyone begins to cheer each other on, much like a craps table, where everyone kind of hopes to see something absolutely fantastic witnessed in front of them, even if it does lose them the game. This makes for something snappy and almost cooperative, while still leaving plenty of room for botched turns that will fill with chuckles and groans, making Sausage Sizzle the super silly selection that simply shines. Now, Featherweight games don't necessarily have to appeal to all age groups. However, very few can really nail that 4 to 99 demographic, quite like Penguin Party. Reiner Knizia's tiny deck of cards is simple enough that the smallest child can grasp the concept, while also thoughtful enough that full-grown adults can get absorbed in it. You and your rookery of party penguins are playing cards to make an ever-growing pyramid. Your turn is lightning quick, as you can hopefully play a card to the Arctic Ziggurat, either playing a card of any color on the lowest level of the pyramid, or playing on a higher level. To do so, you place the card above and between 2 other cards, making sure to match one of their colors. If you can't do either, you pass, taking a point for each card left in your hand, and the player with the lowest point total at the end is the winner. The rules are so simple and rudimentary, it's almost too simple. However, as simple as it all is, there's something different in Penguin Party that allows it something you won't find in games this basic: player expression. Yes, the opportunity to play the game the way you like really broadens this game's potential past the little child's pastime it may have been originally designed to do. A player can choose to min-max, doing their best to empty their hand the best way they can. This is a great idea, because if you can empty your hand, you can get rid of 2 coins, which, if you've amassed so many points in the game that you can consolidate them into 5-point coins, those coins count as 1. Meaning, emptying your hand could mean from going from 11 points down to just 1. On the other side, people can also choose violence. Penguin violence. Some players will even sabotage their own hand, cutting off colors that they need, because they know while they're doing that, they're also hurting somebody else a lot more, making sure that while they may do bad, other people are going to suffer. The important thing to remember here is whether your selection of people is young or old or a horrifying mixture of both, Penguin Party will fit in just about anywhere. When I started this list, I was worried I'd have nothing but card games to share with you. I also thought it would be prominently Oink Games, the premier studio bringing tiny box experiences, but the size does not often match their heft, and games like Scout and Startups are far too in-depth to qualify for this list. Luckily, there's Rafter 5. Rafter 5 is one of the silliest games in my collection, and maybe my favorite dexterity game to date. You are 5 distinct gray-toned friends on a raft. You will take a plank, lift a friend, and place it onto the raft, finishing it by adding a treasure at the end. You win if you can ditch all of your color of treasure chest onto the raft. However, you'd be very surprised how often that doesn't happen. You see, as the raft expands, so do the chances of something going horribly, horribly wrong. Eventually, you're handling an absurd amoeba of driftwood, bending and bowing with each move until an inevitable and unfortunate collapse. Sometimes a section will give out and an unfortunate drifter will have to take a few of the colored chests to their player board. The game ends when you amass 6 treasure chests of other people's colors, which in this case will add to your group, but will rarely be the thing that truly ends the whole game. The other outcome is when one unlucky person will be responsible when the entire thing comes undone in one move. All scores and penalties become mute at this point as this person takes on everything. Not just a slice of the aforementioned pie, but rather it is smashed into your face and you're left with 5 drowning meeples who will spend their last few moments cursing your name. More importantly, you'll acquire too many treasures, losing you the game. Grim implications aside, dexterity games I have found to often either be incredibly exciting but a total hassle to set up, or nice and compact but pretty small and quite forgettable. Rafter 5 has this fantastic blend of being able to be both. Tiny, easy to assemble, but also as exciting as it is incredibly silly. It is tiny, it plays on a bar top or a kitchen table, and just be the absolute life of a party. You're not gonna have a game where someone isn't just snorting with laughter. Rafter 5 is just that good. Poker is an international phenomenon. Technically, the game is just a deck of cards and whatever you're willing to throw into the gambling pot, but the simplicity ends there. Between the different hands, wages, phases, odds, and several other factors, poker is an absolute nightmare for anyone who wasn't raised knowing what a royal flush is. The best part of poker is the bluffing, and cockroach poker gives all of that with the excessive maths and considerations just sifted out. This game is bare bones in its execution. A round starts simply. You can send one of several nasty things to your opponents. For instance, let's say I take this card and tell you, this is a scorpion. Now, you can call my bluff. You could say, well, that is a scorpion. Or, Stu, you falsifying coward, that is no scorpion. If you're right, the card ends up on my end. If you're wrong, you get to keep it and start the next round. This game has no winners. But the loser is whoever ends up with 4 of the same creepy crawly. With such stakes, maybe you're worried I'm being deceitful. So, there's one other option you can take. You can instead peek at the card, look at yourself, and then send it off to someone new. Either telling them the truth, no, this is actually a spider, or maybe reinforcing the idea, yeah, it is a scorpion. Or coming up with something else completely wilder. Stu is lying. This is a stink bug. You have all the same options, rinse and repeat. Now, if you are the last person who hasn't seen the card and it comes to you, you don't get that last option and you must make a claim. This is a spider. Now, Stu has been playing super honest this whole time, even to his detriment. Surely this time he's not lying, right? But wait, this is the perfect time to lie. And he claimed it was a stink bug, and there's already so many out already, there's just no way. Right? The spectacle of watching someone try to maintain a poker face, as the other person just has to sit there, sweat, and analyze and guess to the best of their ability. Of course, followed up by the most explosive rounds as the card is turned over, cheers abound, and someone wins the unwanted prize. This game is such an easy sell to people, and it gets even the quietest person chatting up a storm. So why even worry about stats or odds, and instead just reply to my claim when I tell you this is a cockroach. One thing I was fascinated by when making this list of featherweight champions is the absolute lack of cooperative games. That said, one did make this list, and it's one of the best cooperative games out there. The Mind asks you and your friends to combine your consciousness to answer the age-old question: can you count to 100? This is arguably one of the simplest games on this list, as each player draws cards equal to the round, so 1 card each in the first round and 8 cards in the 8th. Cards range from 1 to 100, and once the game begins, you will be tasked with playing the cards in order from lowest to highest. Whenever there's a mistake, the team collectively lose a life, much like Mario and Friends.
Oh, no!
It seems kind of unnecessary, right? I would hope a majority of you, at least, are able to tell me which is higher and which is lower, 17 or 82. It's the simplest rules in the game. However, it's also one of the hardest games out there because of one little twist. During the game, nobody will be able to talk. When I teach this game, I constantly have people go, wait. Then how am I supposed to know if your card is higher than mine? To which I can only shrug back. Vibes, I guess. With no words or audible communication, you're left with an odd room of silence and little giggles as people search for any tell amongst them to hint who should play their cards next. My card is 16, which is pretty low, but do you have something lower or should I go first? What are the odds I have the highest card? The result is a room filled with giggles and people bending the rules knowingly or not to try and grunt their ways to a solution. And it always fails. I have owned this game for years now, played hundreds of times, and honestly, I think maybe I've won twice. But even so, it's one of the best to ever do it. If you've ever played a cooperative game before like Pandemic, you know that high five sensation when you get that last round perfectly right. This game offers that at the end of every round. The Mind is so immensely intense. Each round, that's simply finishing one of a dozen rounds, gives the same pop-off, that same satisfaction, that even when you blow it all in the next round, you'll remember your accomplishments as you shuffle up the deck because the crowd is begging for just one more go. In 2011, Rockstar Entertainment released a terrible video game called LA Noire. But the best part of that game was the face mapping, so when you interrogated people as a detective, you had to read their faces to make the proper remarks. But what if there was a card game that gave you all the hilarious spectacle of reading someone's face just like this? I can't recommend Shady Lady enough, despite the fact that it's such a hard sell. Let me explain. 2 to 6 players are playing what is essentially 3-card poker. Each player has a hand of 3 cards and are hoping to curate it into either a consecutive set of numbers or 3 of a kind. On your turn, you can do one of 3 things. You can draw a card. You can also try. When you think you've manufactured the perfect hand, you can call try and show everybody what you have. Everyone else will have a chance to play something stronger, and whoever has the highest set will win a point. 3 points wins you the game. This is nothing. There's more substance to a ketchup sandwich. I just got a set of 3 8s. I will win on the next turn. This is such a waste.
Hold it!
Now, I said there were 3 options. Draw a card, try, or jack. Congrats on making a set. You're on your way to getting a point the next turn. unless you play a little too obvious. On your turn, if you think someone is holding on to something pretty good, you can call Jack on them. If they reveal a set, then you get the point, and they have to discard their hand. It is as devastating for them as it is amazing for you. If you are wrong, even just a little bit, then they get the point, so there is a lot of risk to it. This one action flips the entire game on its head. Each teach of this game has players staring blankly into their cards, waiting for just the right card to come out. There's a point, though, when they're not ready, and you see it in their face, and you know you have an obvious mark, and you hit them with that jack. And each time, the group collectively begins to get it, and their eyes move less from their own numbers and more to everyone else in the room. It's so very serious and silly all at once, and my goodness, it's really, truly quickly becoming one of the top games of the year for me, period. It's mostly silent. It's not a big crowd cheering game, but the amount of intense focus and goofy pop-offs just have really cemented it as a perfect addition to my collection. Okay, so we've talked about a game that is so fresh it hasn't even left Japan yet. Let's take a second to instead talk about a game that is 45 years old. Can't Stop is easily the oldest game in the collection, and was also one of the first games I ever covered on this channel. I mentioned it on my Great Plate Freight special, which means that this is at least the third time a video has been made for it, but for good reason. Maybe the purest form of push your luck in board games, period. You roll 4 dice, match them up to make pairs, and then you're off to the races. You get your pickaxes and place them on the numbers that you rolled. Now, you only get 3 pickaxes, so as you roll, as soon as you're able to assign them all to a number, you can keep going over and over as often as you like, but each time you roll, you have to hit one of those numbers. You can keep climbing up the ranks, almost hitting the top. Oh my gosh, but if you roll and you don't get any of those, you lose everything. All the progress for the turn, and they all get wiped away. You can stop whenever you want. Put a save on your progress, drop these little tents where your pickaxes lay to continue progress next turn, but I think you can already see the allure of why you want to keep going. Surely, one more roll will push your pickaxes just a smidge further, right? The winner is whoever can claim the top spot on 3 of the columns, and you won't get there by playing safe. The game is simple enough that everyone can immediately get it and buy in. It's got that classic craps or CeeLo feel that some folks can immediately click with. Yes, like I've mentioned before, this game does have that solitary role, but you are again going to have people cheering because maybe they will be beholden to an amazing one-turn win. Or they can also maybe just push you into going a little too far and then blowing your chances right when you have the win, giving them just a crumb of hope. This game has lasted for half a century, and if you're familiar with modern games, you know how easily they fall in and out of the spotlight. I think it's safe to say that Can't Stop has proven itself not just deserving of this list, but as a true board game classic. I often get asked, "Hey, Stew Teacher, I'm going to Japan. What are some board games I need to get?" And one of my first answers is always Harvest. Now, Harvest was designed decades ago by a friend of the man who created Pokemon, who had asked the designer to make a game that he could play with his children on the subway. Harvest was designed, and it was a huge hit, sold for decades in the subway stations of Japan. It's back now and cuter than ever, which will get everybody's attention. It's got all that cozy farm sim vibe that's all the rage these days. Everyone has a 2x2 plot of farmland and 3 cards consisting of corn, cabbage, and tomatoes of varying point values. Turns are incredibly simple. You play a card, you draw a card. If your farm is empty, then you have to play in your farm, but If your farm has vegetables, you can play wherever you like. When you've made 3 in a row, you do a harvest, and each card in the row scores for the farm it's in. And wow, look how I scored positive points, and you scored, negative points. Oops. It's here where people realize they've been tricked into playing a mean game. Because even though these are cute and adorable vegetables, the bloodshed is imminent. Playing these negative cards into your friends' farms could mess them up. It could block big potential points. It's nasty and cutthroat. But what's funny is that while it's incredibly brutal, even those gentle folks I play with get plenty of laughs and don't mind, because before you don't have time to take the rotten cabbage I left in the corner of your farm personally, the game's already over. It's snappy, it's simple, it's fast, and the constant shivs dug into each other, made out of corn cobs and tomato vines, makes for this fun aggressiveness that is usually something to avoid in games this size, but Harvest makes it work. As with every attack on others will lead to your garden full of the nastiest little plants on the planet, making the saying all the more literal that you do seem to reap what you sow. Now, this list of Featherweight champions has had quite a menagerie of animals, from cockroaches to quokkas to penguins, but we are going to take those, and instead, now we're going to go to the sandy shores of the beach to meet our friend the hermit crab in Mondu's latest game, Cup the Crab. Now, don't let this adorable little crab fool you. Underneath his cardboard shell lies a game that has gripped my mind since the moment I first got my claws on it. On your turn, you can play a cup worth a certain number of points in one of 3 stacks. Those stacks will accumulate until someone plays a crab who cashes out on their exciting multi-floor home. Be careful though, because a stack could be capped off with a bottle. Oh dear, Mr. Crab can't fit in there. The stack is frozen until a cheeky octopus comes in and claims it for themselves. Whoever scoops the highest value of cups at the end of the game wins. Pretty simple, right? Each player gets 3 crabs, 2 bottles, 2 octopi, and 14 cup cards. That's a simple hand of 21 cards. 21 cards? Stu, I thought this was a featherweight game. How could you lie to me like that?
Objection!
Now hold on. That's the best part. Yes, you do have a hand of 21 cards. And yes, that's a lot. But every round, you're only going to choose 3 to play. If you grab your crab card, will you be able to score a multi-floor studio apartment? Or will somebody have thought to bottle it before you get a chance to? You were dealt one of the highest scoring cards, a macaroni cup. But will you be able to play that and get your crab out on the same turn before somebody else scoops it up? Keep in mind, you start the game with 3 crabs and 2 octopi, so you have 5 chances to score within 7 rounds. So players are going to take risks and make mistakes. Experimentation is welcome. It's part of the game, and it's fun to see where your plans go. It has light heft, but the thought that goes into each game is really special. I won't say I hear loud, raucous cheers in this one, but each crab, each bottle, each good move is met with pleasant murmuring of groans or congratulations. It just scratches such a special part of the brain, and it gets everybody thinking and engaged. The cleverness, the engagement, the thought-provokingness, it's really something special. Cup the Crab is coming to the Western Hemisphere later this year, and I really highly recommend pinching a copy if you can. It's fantastic. We've reached the peak of this tiny mountain. What game lies atop the pile of pristine, perfect picks? It might be number 1, but it's always number 7, as Nana is this household's favorite featherweight game. This game mixes the very mediocre experience of Go Fish with those awful childhood memories of memory. to somehow come together to make one of gaming's greatest experiences. Nana is a game where each player has a hand of cards as well as some in the middle. There are 3 of each number in the deck, ranging from 1 to 12, and your goal is to find those sets. On your turn, it's very simple. You simply ask anyone, even yourself, to reveal your highest or lowest card, or to choose one from the middle. You can do this over and over as long as the cards you reveal match. However, if ever you hit one that doesn't match, your turn ends and those cards return to where they were. However, if you're able to find 3 of a kind, then congrats, you went and made a set. The gameplay loop is great because every move shares information. Your friend failing to find the third 11 card is really funny when you're holding on to it, and everyone is going to groan when you reveal your secrets. Even better is how our memory betrays us all. Everyone I've played with has locked in at some point, ready to score. They've seen all the 6s. They're ready to do it, only to ask someone to show their lowest card and realize they misplaced where that last one was. And the whole table just melts in groans and laughter. It's really special how no one is exempt from this. You win if you make 3 sets, but if you can get 2 sets that add or subtract to 7, you can win early. But if you win the shiny 7 cards, you also just immediately win. The 7 win is super rare. And those moments when someone actually manages to pull the handle and get the jackpot, phones leap out of pockets to capture the moment. It is something to behold. Without question, this is one of the most magical experiences one can get in a box filled with cards. I can't say it enough that everyone should try out Nana. Wow, that was a lot for my very first countdown, and it was the lightest games possible. But to be honest, I haven't had time for bigger games. I'm working full time, trying to learn a new language, writing articles, designing my own games, consulting with companies and designers, and overall teetering on the edge of burnout. So I haven't had the chance to sit down and play all the big, hefty games I dreamt of doing. I mean, just look at this video. This was a Christmas video. Then it became a New Year's video. I'm filming this right now on New Year's Day. It's not been easy. While that is a bummer, I've really come to appreciate these lighter games. They haven't been filler for me. Instead, they've proven to me that they pack more experience than they do cardboard. I don't have the hours of grinding into Brass or Sweetlands or Power Grid like I really wish I did. But the benefit is that I've been able to play these with my friends, my family, my students, or anybody who's willing to sit down and listen to a minute or 2 of rules. As stressful as this year was, and it was stressful, it was these games that really kept me consistently getting back to the table. And if that sort of stress or struggles sound remotely familiar to you, I recommend tracking a few of them down, grabbing a few folks, and sitting down for Christmas or New Year's or just every Saturday evening and making a memory or 2. So, happy holidays from us here at Stu Teacher, and we'll see you next time. Say goodbye, Charlie. That's right.